Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now continuing Nickelodeon with another Nickelodeon movie review. Here's my review for Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. So, yeah, I'd say this movie, I'd say it's good. Yeah, I do like it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, the movies that I like do Nickelodeon movies that I really do like are kind of like the ones that kind of have like a different reception from critics and audiences. Like I remember with Good Burger, like critics didn't really like it, but audiences really did. And this is another film where like overall critics did like have a positive reception of it, but the audience reception it was kind of mixed about it. But I do like the movie. Yeah, I think it is pretty good. Yeah, it is kind of interesting for like a Nickelodeon movie and a kids movie. Kind of like one of the kind of goes for like the science fiction genre. You know, and I'd say that for a kids movie, it is done really good. Yeah, yeah, they were actually like really doing a lot of stuff to promote this movie on Nickelodeon. I remember they had like two different sets of like shorts for this movie. I remember they had one series of shorts that was just like not really like in connection with this film, but they were just like showing like some shorts to just kind of show like the kind of person that Jimmy was. It was just showing like the stuff that he's invented, yeah. And with the other set of shorts, it was kind of like just a 5 part or a series short to just kind of show the events of what was actually leading up to this movie. Because, yeah, I mean, yeah, there was like a short series, 5 part short series, when like it was just like showing the events right before the movie, and right where that ends, this movie starts. And so, yeah, I did like that, and yeah, I do really like this movie, and of course, this was like before the actual Nickelodeon show began. And yeah, as far as how I felt about the show I felt was okay. I mean, it was not really one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows ever, but I mean, it was an okay show. I mean, it had some episodes that I really did like, and also it had some episodes I really did not like. So yeah, it was kind of like mixed on it. So yeah, it was an okay show for me. Yeah, and this movie it really did kind of act as a pilot for the show. Like this movie it didn't really like carry over to the TV show like completely, but it did like later on there was an episode of the show that actually kind of did continue the events from this movie. So yeah, the movie does kind of act as a pilot to the show in that sense, but yeah, not like completely. Like the movie doesn't like completely carry over to the show, and the show did completely continue the events of the movie all the way through. But yeah, we did like get an episode later on where like the villains in this movie did return, and it kind of like seemed that maybe they did have a change of heart, but it was like setting everybody in the town up. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, that was really like the only episode that I really remember that really did like continue the events from this movie. But yeah, the show was okay, but I did like this movie. Yeah. Yeah, there was yeah. I mean, of all the characters in this, I mean, there's of course like Jimmy. There's his cybernetic dog Goddard. There's his friends Carl and Sheen. And yeah, Carl, he's kind of like the nerdy one. Well, and, yeah, I mean, Carl, he's like suffering from like asthma or allergies or something. He always has his inhaler, and yeah, Carl also has like a thing for llamas. And there's also Sheen, who's just like a fanatic. He's just obsessed with superhero Ultra Lord. Or yeah, and you may remember like they eventually like tried to give Sheen his own show, Planet Sheen, which really was not good. Yeah, and there's like of course like Jimmy's parents. There's his mom Judy and his dad Hugh, and yeah, they're kind of like your like the typical parents that you see in like TV show movies, where like the mom is like kind of not really hard on Jimmy, but she's like not really being like really supportive of what he does. And the dad, he's like trying to really be the cool one with Jimmy. He's like trying to support what he does, like trying to like side with Jimmy and all that. And yeah, his dad also like has a thing for ducks. And we also have like Jimmy's. He's kind of like his classmate that he kind of like they are kind of like rivals, but it's also like shown like at a couple points in this movie, and like at some points even in the show, that they like do kind of have like a little bit of interest into each other. Yeah, but nothing actually really does really come from it. Yeah, and there's also like Cindy's friend Libby. Yeah, and just some other like characters throughout like the show. Really, I mean, there's not really like that many more main characters in the movie, but throughout the show, you do get like some other like recurring characters in it. And yeah, I do think the movie is good. Like I said, it is like kind of interesting to see like Nickelodeon do like the science fiction style of movie. Yeah. And the movie, it does like have a decent cast. I mean, yeah, it has like Patrick Stewart and Martin Short in it as the villains. Yeah, it has of course was Frank Welker. It has Carolyn Lawrence as Cindy, and Carolyn Lawrence is also the actress that voices Sandy on SpongeBob. Yeah, also like, yeah, you do like have some like other people. Well, like a few like other decent stars in the movie, but yeah, and nothing much else than that. Yeah, and the movie also like has some pretty good music. I mean, it has like two like really like the two songs I really think this movie is really memorable for is Aaron Carter's song "Leave It Up to Me" and "Kids in America" from No Secrets. Yeah, but it also has some other songs, and it has like Jimmy Neutron "Time" by Aaron Carter, and yeah, it does like have a other few other original songs, but and yeah, it does have a interesting premise, and yeah, some stuff in here it doesn't really like quite make sense, and but yeah, I mean, but it is like Nickelodeon and it is for kids, so I mean, what do you really expect them to really do with it? But I mean, yeah, it is still like really good. It has a good, interesting premise to it, and yeah, yeah, and it did have some like stuff to really like have kids really get interested into this movie and like get them excited for the show. Yeah, although yeah, like I said, show didn't like quite start yet. This movie was released in December 2001, and the show didn't actually start until summer of 2002. So yeah, it did kind of like take a little while for the movie to actually lead up to the show and for the show to actually start. But I mean, yeah, movie it is still like a good movie. I would give it probably 3.25 stars out of 4. I mean, it is like a really, really, really good movie. Yeah. So, yeah. Let me just get right into it, I guess. So, as I said before, the move like before like this movie was released, Nickelodeon had those like that 5-part short series to just like have the events to lead up to this movie, and yeah, that series was just like right before this movie starts, and as I like, yeah, I'm gonna have to like talk a little bit about those 5 short series before I can actually like talk about the movie itself. So yeah. In that series, it was just like showing a couple of things leading up to this movie. It was basically just like Jimmy just trying to make contact with some aliens. And then he's trying like a bunch of stuff to do it. He's trying to send them messages from the sky and also like make contact to them with like a big like megaphone or something. Then he finally decides to take Carl and go into space and launch a communication satellite that's made from a toaster to the aliens. And so then, yeah, that's when this movie does actually begin. Jimmy and Carl blast off with Goddard, with uttered into like with a rocket into space, and then they end up launching that satellite right into space. And then, like, the rocket then gives out, and then Jimmy ejects Carl and parachutes him out. And then Jimmy crashes, lands back onto the roof of his house. And then his parents catch him on the roof with his rocket, and Jimmy told his parents what was going on. And his parents just told Jimmy that he shouldn't be talking to strangers, that if they don't know who he's trying to talk to, then they're strangers, which that really doesn't make sense because, I mean, be honest. I mean, you probably, when you were a kid, you probably had, like, some friends that your parents never actually met. I mean, are those strangers? So, yeah, that really doesn't quite make sense. I mean, parents don't really have to meet everybody that you talk to for them to be considered strangers because, I mean, you could talk to somebody and actually become friends with them and your parents have never actually met them before. So, yeah, that's what they said there was just kind of a load of BS, kind of, with just them saying that if they have never met the person, then they're strangers. So, yeah, that's stupid. But anyway, okay. Then Jimmy was getting ready for school, and then he saw that the bus was leaving without him, and so he used like a new invention that he was coming up with called like bubble gum travel or something, where he like blew a bubble from gum, and then you're just like bouncing in the bubble to try to hop to school, which was kind of clever. But then like he eventually just crashed into a tree, and the bubble then just popped. And then that day in school during like show and tell, well, Jimmy was showing another one of his new inventions, which was a shrink ray. He tried to test it out on Cindy, but like the ray just didn't work. And then, and as we were getting ready to leave, like then the ray went off, and then it shrank the teacher, Miss Fowl. And then that night it showed that at the new amusement park Retroland was opening up, and Jimmy, Sheen, and Carl all wanted to go, but they knew that their parents wouldn't let them out after dark on a school night. And so then, like, kind of like the popular bad boy in Jimmy's class, Nick, advised them to just sneak out because everybody that matters will be going to Retroland. And then Jimmy tried to come up with a plan to kind of just get his parents to actually let him go. And so he tried to just bribe his mom with some gifts, like a pearl necklace and some roses and a diamond and all that. But yeah, his mom still refused to let him go out there. And then after like Jimmy's jetpack had gone off in the house, then his mom just decided to ground him because his jetpack had caused a fire in the house, but he used it that it was extinguished. Yeah. Then it then showed Jimmy's satellite then finally being picked up by an alien race known as the Yokians near their planet Yokas, and then it showed like the ruler of Yokas, King Gubot, and his assistant Ublar found the satellite, and then it was funny, like it then launched out a piece of toast. Ublar was like trying to talk to it, just saying, "Hello, toast, I admire your ship." Yeah. And then it started to play then the message Jimmy had actually included in the satellite, and then it just showed like Jimmy just explaining about Earth life, and then Jimmy showed a picture of his parents, and then King Goobot then decided to pursue Earth and kidnap all the parents in Retroville. Well, and then Jimmy finally decided to take up Nick on his advice, and then he decided for him, Carl, and Sheen to sneak out, and then and that night it then showed like all the Yokians then just swarming the Earth, and it showed like Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen all then just going to Retroland, and yeah, they're just like doing everything, like going on the rides, and Sheen met Ultra Lord, and Carl touched a llama. Right? He made such a big deal about it. I mean, he just barely laid a finger on a llama, and Carl was just acting so cheerful. Meanwhile, Goddard was in Jimmy's bed pretending to be him, just talking in his voice to his parents when they tried to come in to talk to Jimmy. Yeah. Then later that night, it then showed one of the Yokians then kidnapping Jimmy's parents, and then it showed other parents also being kidnapped into the ships. And yeah, I got to say, like, this movie, like, it kind of, yeah, it shows this thing with, like, kids partying with them, like, yeah, it has, like, the parents being kidnapped, and yeah, kind of like, we've seen that stuff before. Like, this movie does kind of have stuff we've seen before, like, with the parents being kidnapped and the kids celebrating. Like, I remember this was in the first Power Rangers movie, and yeah, it's like been in some other stuff as well. So yeah, kind of like reusing some stuff before, but yeah, it's still like it's fine. Yeah. And then later that night, as Jimmy, Sheen, and Carl are all finally walking home, they see what they think is a shooting star, which is actually a Yokian ship. And so the three of them just wish for their parents to just be gone, and so they can all have fun at all the time. And the next morning, Jimmy then sees that his parents are gone, and then he finds a note on the fridge that says that his parents have gone to Florida for an extended vacation, and it's shown that all the kids in the town had the same note, and so yeah, they were all. And then Jimmy then saw that there were no parents anywhere in the city, and so yeah, all the kids in the town were celebrating, and yeah, as they like showed them all being happy that their parents were gone, it was like playing the song Blitzkrieg Bop from the Ramones. Yeah. And so yeah, at first the kids were happy that their parents weren't around, but then they eventually we're not happy about it because they realize that they really need their parents for some stuff, and I showed like some kids being hurt, whether they like hurt themselves playing or whether they had stomach aches or yeah, anything like that. They just were really hurting and they wanted their parents back. And Jimmy was just, yeah, he was starting to feel unhappy that his parents just kind of left without telling him goodbye. And then Goddard then just showed him and what happened like with his parents coming in to talk to him and just saying goodnight. And it showed more than what we had actually seen when it first happened. You know, yeah, and then at the very end of the video, it then had showed Jimmy's mom just telling him they would see him in the morning. And then after hearing that, Jimmy started to become suspicious about it, and then he then figured out that the note that was left for him was a fake since it didn't match his parents' handwriting. And then Jimmy and Goddard then discover that their parents had been kidnapped by aliens. And so Jimmy and all the other kids in the town decided to work together to go save their parents. So they all made some spaceships out of the rides from Retroland. And then they set off into space to try to find their parents. And yeah, something else that really doesn't make sense is they travel up into space, and yeah, there's no oxygen in space, and yet when they travel into space, they don't even have to worry about that. They breathe just fine. They don't have space helmets. They don't have any oxygen gear or anything. I mean, they just go into space just fine with no space gear or anything. It's they're just fine. And then it's they really don't even need to breathe. Yeah. But yeah, and then they eventually do arrive at Yoko's. And yeah, Jimmy tries to recruit his dad, and yeah, it shows all the parents are now being under mind control from the Yokians. And Goobot eventually ends up capturing all the kids, and he tells them that their parents are being sacrificed to their god, Poltra. And then it's revealed that of what Jimmy's video had done. And yeah, the Yokians were thanking Jimmy for helping them find suitable species for their ritual for Polcha. And then he then has all the kids locked up in cells, and he also has Goddard taken, and he tries to get Ooblar to actually take Goddard apart. And then Jimmy just was just so distraught about what happened, and he felt that he was responsible for the parents being kidnapped in the first place. And then Cindy just told Jimmy that everybody needs him right now, and he should try to think of an escape plan. And so, using Libby's cell phone, when Jimmy called Goddard, and he just came up with a plan to get Ooblar to take off, and then get Goddard to help him break out, and then he had Goddard play dead. And yeah, the way Goddard plays dead is that he just explodes, and his parts go all over the place, but he's able to reassemble again. And yeah, and then yeah, all the kids then were able to break free, and then they continued to go try to save their parents, and then it showed the ritual for the parents to be sacrificed to the Polcha. It was in a big stadium, and then had all the parents still under mind control, being surrounding an enormous egg, and then the parents were all just dancing to the chicken tune. And then the kids tried to go save the parents again, but then the egg then started to hatch, and then we then saw the big reveal of Poltra, and it was just an enormous kind of chicken. And then yeah, the kids then all did battle with the Yokians, and Jimmy was able to get the remote that actually does control the parents, and then he got the parents to just run off. And then Sheen arrived with one of the Yokian ships. And then yeah, the kids and parents all got on, and then yeah, Goobot and all the other Yokians all pursued them in their ships, and then the kids all just lured all the Yokians and to fly just way too close to the sun, and just causing them to be destroyed. Yeah, and then Jimmy just decided to go confront Goobot and Ooblar by himself, and so he used a cycle feature for Goddard to go fly out towards them, and then Jimmy then used his shrink ray to have him grow planet size, and then yeah, Jimmy was just a complete giant compared to Goobot's ship, and then Jimmy just blew Goobot's ship right into an asteroid, and then the ship then exploded, and then yeah, Goobot just told Jimmy that they haven't seen the last of him, and yeah, it carried over to that episode that I was talking about earlier. Yeah. And then it just showed all the kids reuniting with their parents, and yeah, Jimmy then just told his parents that he should have listened to them about not talking to strangers. And then yeah, they all just reconciled, and then yeah, the ship just flew back home. Yeah. Yeah, the movie ended with a real hilarious scene. Jimmy's parents found one of Jimmy's experiments, which was a burping soda, and the two of them were drinking it, and they were just causing them to burp. And Jimmy's dad just had the best line ever in this movie. At one point when he burped, he just said, "At least it's coming out the attic, not the basement." And it just showed Jimmy's parents just continuing to just burp, and then Jimmy, his parents, and Carl were just all laughing together, and yeah, that's how the movie ended. So yeah, 3.25 stars out of 4. Yeah, I do think it is a good movie. Yeah, it definitely does have a lot of really interesting and creative things to it, And yeah, and it is like good CGI. This was like one of the time during the time when CGI was like still new in terms of movies. Like Pixar was doing it, and yeah, it was like around the time like DreamWorks started doing it also. Well, but I mean, yeah, it was still like this was when CGI was still like kind of new in terms of movies. Like we didn't like see it all the time like we do now. So yeah, it was good CGI, and yeah, yeah, it's a good premise, and yeah, a lot of really creative things about it, and yeah, movie overall, it is good. Alright, so yeah, that does it for my review of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.